Things are a lot different from 2021. Let's take a look at some of the biggest things that took us from a one-man show to a full team. ...2021, this was the summer before my senior year. I wanted to make some more money that summer. You know, my grandpa was nice enough to give me a pressure washing setup. So it was an old 4-gallon per minute machine, though it was a Honda, so it was a nice motor. He gave me some pressure washing hose, some water hose. I think the surface cleaner too. It was pretty used, but it was probably $1,000 to $1,500 worth of stuff, which was just, you know, super, super nice of him to do that. And I did what any kid thinks to do, and it's like, hey, like, let me go print some cheap paper flyers and try and, you know, make some jobs out of this. At this time, I also like knew how to paint a little bit. So I got flyers and cards made for Matt's pressure washing with like a little stick figure guy here. And I specialize in driveways, walkways, patios. So there was no houses, no windows, no anything. And then I had Matt's interior painting. I didn't do exterior because I couldn't afford the sprayer to do exterior painting. And if you were doing an exterior with a brush or a roller, it would not look good and it would take forever. I would do a bunch of jobs. Here was a quick picture of the setup. You know, like I said, I had the hoses, the machine, surface cleaner, and I just had a bunch of 1-gallon jugs of bleach that I was pouring into a bucket, and then I was downstreaming through there. At this point, I already knew Hayden. He's like my future brother-in-law, if that makes sense. So, and I knew he was good on like computers and things like that. So he built me the first copy of my website, as well as the first logo. So he did the Matt's Exterior Washing version 1 logo, and the first version of the website. It still wasn't a business by any means in my mind. It was kind of just, you know, this thing for the summer. First pressure washing job ever under the name of Matt's Pressure Washing. Boom, right there. We did a driveway, we did a curb, and we did a left side of the house. And I charged $90 for the left side of the house and the driveway. And I was like, holy cow, that's incredible money. I'm gonna make, you know, $50 an hour on this job. And I paid my buddy to help me do this, and I was paying him like $15 an hour. I don't know why I had him helping me. You know, I only had one machine anyways, so that, you know, did not make much sense. But then I had to pay him. I paid bleach, gas, and everything else. I definitely lost money on it, but I think it took me multiple weeks to realize that. But definitely good to have a story like that. This is another one of those kind of staples in my mind. If I sent you to this job to wash the driveway in the left side of this vinyl house, I know it's small, but what are you expecting that ticket to be?
Just the left side?
Yeah, just the left side of the driveway. Like, obviously we have some kind of minimum now.
Considering minimum prices, I would say with the minimum price, maybe between $250 and $299.
Right.
Which I'll say $299 for that. I feel like we're stealing.
Yes,
but
100%.
We just don't do projects like that.
We have to have it over a certain amount of money to make anything.
Yeah, we just don't do projects like that. What was your price on that?
$90.
$90?
$90. It was my first flyer. It was like Matt's Pressure Washing. I got it off like Vistaprint or something. And my offer on the flyer, it was so bad. It was like $10 off first cleaning. I
mean,
like, so
$10 was probably pretty significant at that point when the cleaning was like $100.
Yeah, well, that's one of the notes in the videos is that my first job was $90. But the picture of the flyer was your mom's back patio, and when you look closely, the edge of the patio was all
streaked up.
Horrible. I was like, I cannot believe that I used that as my flyer.
Do you have one in there?
Look at this, $10 off first cleaning. If the camera will pick this up, look at the edges on that patio. I missed all the edges on your mom's patio. And that was my flyer picture. And then this was like the fakest picture that I could possibly find on the internet. And then you see Hazel in the window.
Yeah, in the window.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
If you want a free quote, no, I'm just kidding.
before Matt's exterior washing, there was Matt's interior painting
Yep.
for a couple months.
That's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So he's showing me a couple of pictures right now, the back of his truck from 2021, I want to say.
website that you made, 2021. I thought Hayden was a computer wizard when he made this. Not that he's not, but I think it was like a simple, like a Squarespace website.
Yeah,
right?
it was Squarespace.
Mason helping me out on jobs. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool, right?
That was my memory of the beginning was if I went to go wash with Matt,
That fit.
he was gonna have a different one of his friends from high school every
Yes.
single job
Every
working
job.
with him.
This was like one of my worst fits of all time. But I didn't want to ruin nice clothes when I was pressure washing.
Blue basketball shorts, sneakers.
With the Chicago Cubs shirt. I'm a Braves fan, by the way. Oh, boy. But hey, that driveway was coming out nice, though. So 2022 was the year in which I actually legitimized the business. So I got the LLC, all the other paperwork, and I actually formed Matt's Exterior Washing as a company. 2022 was the year in which I graduated from high school in May or June. So I kind of told myself, like, I'm going to take a gap year. So I kind of challenged myself from when I graduated high school in that summer of 22. I said, hey, by the end of 2022, if I do more than 50,000 in power washing, I'm going to keep doing this thing. If I don't, and I'm really struggling, then I'm going to figure out what I need to do. I'm going to go to technical college or whatever the case may be and, try and get some more education. So I took any money that I got and I went to the nearest pressure washing store and I had them put together a simple trailer for me. The trailer actually came as a birthday present from my girlfriend's family, which was super nice of them. And then I used the money to go and get a trailer build where I had 2 4-gallon pressure washers, a basic soft wash setup that gave me so much trouble, and then just some cheap tanks. You can see that everything was put together without ratchet straps. It was a single axle trailer, so nothing fancy there. And I remember this kind of like awful 2 to 3 day stretch where I feel like I was just getting going. I remember like the business gods were trying to make me like not start this business. So these two things happened in back-to-back days. Well, I was driving down the highway with this trailer and I had a full can of bleach on it, and that bleach was ratchet strapped to the gate. And I'm driving down our local highway, probably going 60 or 65 miles an hour, and the gate falls off the trailer on the main highway with a full jug of bleach on it. And that was just such a nightmare. Luckily, I had my friend with me, or I would have never been able to lift this stuff. Eventually, we got it. We threw the gate in the back of the truck. The very next day, again, that trailer is a single axle trailer, so that doesn't have any brakes. We're driving down the road. Again, on the main road, I'm going down this hill, and I push my brake pedal, and my brakes go to the floor and just completely give out. There was a hill coming up, so I kind of went up the hill, I kind of pulled over, I circled around a couple times, and I finally pulled the e-brake and came to a stop. When those two things happened in back-to-back days, I was just like, man, is this really worth it? This might not be worth it. I got some stickers on my truck, made a Google page, improved the website further, hired my first SEO company. I landed a big job, which we can cut to that scene now. This is our first big job. This is a high school football stadium. We did the home side bleachers. There's another set of away side bleachers. There's a lot of concrete underneath the bleachers and then all the concrete out here.
So we did around the snack shack area, there's a big open space. There's storage for all the band's instruments and things like that. I think we were here a total of 7 days.
A week, probably, yeah.
Maybe 8 days. But that 8th day, I'll tell you what the 8th day was. I got probably 3 days into cleaning this concrete before I realized there's no chance I get this done in the 7 days. So what I did, because I had not much experience and not much brains about what to do to deal with that problem, is I just started walking faster with my surface cleaner. By the end of this thing, this entire concrete area looked like a chessboard.
Yeah,
it was
bad.
Just striped.
It was really bad.
Striped squares everywhere.
The athletic director is calling me, chewing me out, yelling at me. I'm like, what could he possibly be mad at? And then I saw. But since then, Hayden hasn't done a bad job. Since
that
this
one was
bad.
a big loss because that checkerboard that was left behind had to be soft washed, so we had to put like high strength SH on it to erase all those lines. So that meant gallons and gallons of bleach. Crazy.
It was at least another $1,000 to go back and soft wash everything. Probably.
Yeah.
You know, he was still very new to pressure washing. I spent a whole other day basically soft washing all the concrete with basically like a 6% bleach to nuke everything.
Picture this.
Yeah.
But across the entire thing.
Just like stripes everywhere.
Yeah. Like these, the stripes that you can see coming through here.
So yeah, it was bad, but it was a great learning lesson. It was the middle of July, and I was on those metal bleachers for 8 or 9 days straight. But I remember I landed this deal. It was probably I'm pretty sure it was like $8,000 flat, and I remember feeling like I just hit the jackpot. I remember that I paid Hayden $2,000. I had 2 or 3 other guys helping me that I probably paid $1,000 each. All the bleach, all the gas, all the extra hoses to reach everything. I definitely lost money on it, for sure. But I remember that feeling of, feeling like I was rich when I signed the deal, and I was like, it's go time. So a lot of good memories, a lot of bad memories.
Second pressure washing job that I think I might,
ever
it
done,
might be
maybe.
The second one I ever did in my life. We did one residential job together. He asked me if I would go with him on a driveway and back patio, and I went with him, and then I was like, this is great, and I quit my job at the car wash and I got a pressure washer and some stuff. My dad helped me get a whole setup to start with, and I brought that setup here to work with him. I think him and his friend Jacob did the away side while I was working on the home side bleachers.
We had me, Jacob Maddox, and then Jake Walther.
Yep.
And then you were down here.
Yep. So
fun. Good memories, bad memories. Love it. Later in the year, I bought a newer, or I guess it was newer to me. It still had like 100,000 miles on it when I bought it, but it was a 2017 F-150, and it was just in better shape than the red truck that I had. So in those 6 months, I was able to do $69,037 in total power washing sales. So I was like, you know what? I exceeded that goal by almost 20 grand. So I'm not going to college. Let's see what I can do with a full year. 2023. At this point, a big thing is obviously like trying to get off the truck if you ever want to grow the business, so that you can focus on sales, on marketing, and on other things. So like I said, I already knew Hayden, and Hayden had developed some interest in pressure washing as well. He had actually put together his own small little setup as well, and we had done some small jobs with each other over the past maybe 6 months or so. I could just tell that he was going to be really reliable and dependable. And in January of 2023, I offered him a full-time position in the company. It was my first hire. I knew to get somebody like that, I was going to have to offer up. So it started as, just an hourly position. As I explained that I can't really afford much more than that right now, but there was a road to equity in which he has now earned. In this year, we did a couple more big jobs. We had another big job at a local high school. I think this holds our record for biggest job still. It was only the front of the school, that's it. Like no sides, no back, no roof, no anything. And it was about an $8,000 job for only the front of the school. It took us like 2 days, I remember. So this was the first time where I had a 2-man crew besides myself. One of those was Hayden, but we had Hayden and another guy. I was still answering the phones. I was giving all the appointments. I was putting up the yard signs and all the marketing and everything like that.
2023 was a big year for us. A lot of things changed. And I think the main thing that changed was we started really trying to deal with our off season. So in previous years, once we got around to the end of the year, we got around to the winter time, we kind of just chilled. We didn't do anything. We didn't make any money. We just spent what we had in savings and then started the year fresh with nothing. So we started doing Christmas lights to deal with the off season, get a little more business. And I think Matt can attest to this. When we started doing Christmas lights, we thought we were so prepared. We thought we had like watched all the videos and had all the stuff. And going into it, our first Christmas light season was pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
We got a lot of projects done, and I think it was more successful than we were expecting.
Yeah, it was pretty chaotic, and it was a grand total of like 10 or 11 jobs maybe.
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
And it felt super chaotic.
But at the time, it felt great because you do 10 or 11 jobs, but the margins are way better on Christmas lights.
Yeah, that was like
the
20,
job totals are way higher.
So
yeah.
That was like 20 or 25K in revenue just from the lights, and like we weren't used to like a $2,000 average ticket in the power washing space.
That was big. So another thing that we did was, this was the first year we went to the huge convention. So this is a picture of us there.
Kind of inspired us to do the lights, to be honest.
Yeah, the huge convention, basically what it is it's a home service convention, mostly focused on pressure washing and holiday lighting. And we went there to go listen to some guest speakers talking about different things like marketing, sales, all these different focuses. And kind of what we arrived on while we were there is like, we need to do something to deal with the off season. A lot of people do snow plowing if they live in the north, solar panel cleaning, like just random things depending on where they are in the country. And around here, it felt like our main opportunity was Christmas lights.
Right.
And so going into that just felt like a huge boost for the business.
We no longer have this contract as of like a year ago, but we landed, I tend to believe, one of the crazier like residential contracts that even exist in the pressure washing space. So I made this like relationship with somebody, and they knew somebody with a very large lake house, and you know, these people had a lot of money, and they just wanted somebody there all the time to pressure wash, knock down cobwebs, like pressure wash the dog, like anything that like you could ever think about. So I don't have many pictures of it, but I guess just like a sneak peek, like this was Hayden like up on the roof, you know, in his Bass Pro hat. Here's blowing off the roof.
I think I'm wearing Crocs.
Crocs. Here's another one of us. I mean, it's a pretty nice view, as you can see. You know, it's like right on the water, but here's us power washing. Landing a singular contract that was bringing in 5 or 10% of our business was kind of like, holy cow, that's like a huge deal. This picture here, I had a GoPro wrapped around my chest, and we're doing training videos for new employees. These videos turned out awful, right? But it was the thought that I was thinking like kind of a business owner of like, okay, let's try and make a system or like a training program for a new employee. And 2023, my first full year, was $205,875. And that included $20,000 in Christmas lighting jobs, up from $69,000 the year before. So pretty motivated at this point, which leads us to 2024. So 2024 was another big year. It was the first year where I was confident to hire a couple people, including my first non-technician. So we hired our first admin role, and that was Meg. She works from home. This was the first year that we dove into meta ads. So I started to kind of learn a little bit more about marketing. So we had our first professional photos taken, and we got a couple reels made from a videographer. Kind of just started to see the power of successful advertising. So we're at this little technical college here. This is where, if we keep winning, we come here every year to do like this best of Forsyth thing. Our county, Forsyth County, will do like a best of for every category that you can possibly think of. 2024 was the first year that we won it for pressure washing and like exterior home cleaning, and it honestly did, you know, help us a lot. Before that, we just didn't really have much to like separate us, if you will, in our area. Being able to say, you know, I own Matt's Exterior Washing. We recently won the Best Forsyth Award, and you know, whatever kind of just helped with some credibility there. So that was definitely another staple moment for us
for sure. Year. I think 2024 was another big year for us. It was the first year we had a wrap truck, and I think the difference between showing up in a bare white truck on a job site, and showing up in one with a big logo on the side and a phone number and what we do and everything was huge.
Yep.
We also started getting uniforms. We started wearing uniforms at this time, so that was huge. Just looking more professional when we show up. Not only do we have the credibility of Bester Forsyth, but we look like a professional company when we get there. We hired a couple people this year. So Grant started this year and he's still working with us now.
Yep.
He's our estimator now, but he was a technician at the time. We hired Dominic, who was with us for
a year and a half.
Maybe 2 years. He was with us for a while. We got another truck. So this is the first time we were running 2 crews at the same time. So there was a time where Matt and I were operating 2 different businesses and working together.
Yeah.
This is the first time Matt's Exterior Washing had 2 crews going out. So that was a lot more revenue.
The 2 longest tenured people here, besides me and you, in that same like 2 to 3 month time span. You and Dominic on like the 2-man truck, and then like Grant solo. I was selling, and then Meg was in the office. I think this year we finished at 421,000. So I thought it was time to bring in that admin role, but we jumped from 200,000 to 421, so we more than doubled. It was my first time being out of the pressure washing truck, so definitely a big year here. I started to involve myself in some networking. So I joined my B&I group in 2024. I started to go to some chamber events and just started to focus more on shaking hands and letting people know who Matt's Exterior Washing was. We did Christmas lights again for our 2nd year now, and we grew the Christmas lights specifically from 20,000 to a little over 60,000. So we 3x'd the Christmas lights, and then we took the business to 421,697. So we more than doubled the business as a whole in 2024. 2025 was the year in which we signed our lease in this office that I'm sitting in right now. So we finally had an office and a shop space, and that was something where like I can't even explain the amount of days or the amount of times I thought to myself, what if one day we had an office or like a shop space or or something like that. So this was the year in which I got my first taste of business coaching. I'm no longer in this, but I had joined Conquer at the very beginning of this year and started to work one-on-one with a coach. And we started to dive into more systems. So this was the year we developed our core values. We developed our mission and vision statement, started to look at referral programs, our like org chart on the wall. We did our first go at service plans. They failed miserably, but I did try. At this point in the business, we had ramped up to 3 trucks at this point. And in the summer, we had this group photo taken. We had 7 people in the company. So I think maybe this was the first year, I guess it was last year now, that it actually felt like a business, because this was also the year in which Hayden went from being a technician to being a production manager. I also took Grant from a technician to a sales role. So at this point, I now had somebody in the admin department managing technicians, and which led me to either marketing, more sales, or just overall growing the business. We finished this year right at 750,000, up from 421,000. So this was the first year in which we did not double the business, but still solid growth. And for the lights specifically, we went from 60,000 to 120,000. So we doubled it in the lights. Well, 2026, we can't really tell y'all how the year finished. We are currently in the beginning of July, a day before the 4th of July. Happy semi-quincentennial to everybody out there. 250 years of America, by the way. So what do we got going on this year? You want to start with what we're doing right now?
Yeah, so kind of this content project started in 2026. This was Matt's idea to get into this stuff. Some of it was marketing, doing reels and things. Some of it was kind of just to like get our name out there and be a little bit more professional looking. I think a lot of it is educational, trying to put out some content where maybe people who are just starting out, people like us in this video, when we were in 2022 and we didn't really know what we were doing, like to learn the things that will step you up to the next level, get you closer to a spot where we're at right now, and maybe you surpass us because you heard some things that we talked about. So right. Yeah, kind of to educate. It also, I think, it helps us document and remember where we were.
Definitely.
Just like all the stuff we've been talking about today, like you don't think about how much changes over time until you go back and look.
Yeah.
Every day can feel like a grind, you're doing the same thing, but like all these little minor changes that you make over time add up to be something crazy in the long run. So this is kind of a good way to document that.
If we made this video again in 5 years, it might be easier to know what was going on by looking at the YouTube videos.
For sure,
you know?
For sure.
Other things that we've been working on, did you realize I'm just parked in the middle of the road right now? I thought that was a spot, but I think that those are old lines.
I can go around.
So other things that I've been working on, just been focused on the kind of sales aspect of the business. I mean, that's what I always am focused on, but just always improving it. Y'all might have heard Hermosi talk about a VSL, a video sales letter. So we developed one of those where before an estimate, our clients are getting a video now that kind of explains how the process is gonna go and kind of does some pre-selling before we get there. And at this point, we have 4 trucks on the road. I've got this picture of them at a Chick-fil-A. I think this is kind of gonna be the way that we model the trucks going forwards. It's a 1,500 8-foot bed with airbags. So the 1,500 is a much cheaper truck than 2,500. But if you get the airbags, then you can haul more weight. And the 8-foot bed just allows for a lot of room in the skid and makes it super convenient. And we've just noticed that solo trucks are much more profitable for our company specifically. So we plan one day, we're not here yet, but we plan, I think, to have like 3 or 4 solo trucks for every 1 2-man truck. Really starting to focus on recurring revenue, service plans, and whatnot. We're still really fresh to it. We have maybe 25 or so people on a monthly service plan. So really trying to hone that in. I really believe that that could be our future. I think like our 3 to 4 year goal is to get to 100K a month in recurring revenue. So if anybody has done that or has some ideas for us on how to maybe get there faster, I'd love to talk to you. We've developed sales folders for both Christmas lights and power washing, and just maybe looking at how we're gonna take Christmas lights from 120K last year to hopefully 300 plus this year. It's funny because like we were talking about how like on the day-to-day it feels like we're getting like nothing done, but even just talking about that, it's like that's a pretty good bit for the first 6 full months of the year. So we are pacing for right at the $1 million mark. The plan is to grow lights from 120K to 300,000. So we're planning to make a huge push in lights. Not sure if I'll get there or not. That's a aggressive push, but we're gonna try our best. It's pretty crazy that what started as like this little like side service is possibly gonna be like 30% of our business this year. Every day as business owners, I think it's really easy to think about what's going wrong, what's broken in the business, what people are not performing, etc. So I think I'm trying to get better about every once in a while stop and see what we've built and what's changed and just take at least one moment to appreciate it. We've had so many great people that have helped us get to here. So take a second to thank them as well, whether it's your friends, your family, your clients, or what have you. And that's where we are right now in 2026.